Only 6 of the 242 House GOP legislators signed an August 22 letter urging President Donald Trump to preserve former President Barack Obama's DACA amnesty for 800,000 illegal immigrants. The letter, which was touted by Mark Zuckerberg's FWD, U.S. pro-immigration advocacy group, declared, "We right to express our support for maintaining the protections of deferred action for childhood arrivals DACA for current recipients of the policy. We understand and deeply respect the rule of law and firmly believe that those who have violated the law must face fair consequences. We also have a responsibility to apply the law in the manner required by the circumstances." And popularity of the 2012 DACA amnesty was underlined by the fact that only 6 GOP legislators signed the letter, despite the top-level cheering for the DACA amnesty by Zuckerberg's group and by other business-funded operations. The 6 legislators who signed the letter are New York Rep. Daniel Donovan, California Rep. David Villadao, Nebraska Rep. Don Bacon, Florida Rep. Carlos Curbelo, California Rep. Jeff Dunham and Florida Rep. Ileana Rose Layton. Press aides for the members declined to comment when asked by Breitbart News. The low number of open supporters demonstrates that there is a clear consensus within the president's party that DACA should be terminated, said Ira Melman, a spokesman for the Federation for American Immigration Reform. The president should focus honoring the promises and pledges he made to the American public during his campaign, he added. Trump has the advantage, Melman said, in part because Democrats are under great pressure to preserve the DACA amnesty. Just the mere rumor that DACA repeal is in the works sent the Democrats' leadership apoplectic, he said. Trump has to start holding them publicly accountable for their unpopular pro-immigration policies, he added. The 6-person ladder was posted as senior globalist aides on Trump's staff reportedly try to sideline his priorities, which include building a border wall and signing the RAISE Act immigration reform. Those goals are fiercely opposed by Democrats and by many businesses groups, and they also threaten to sink the manager's top priority goal, the passage of a tax cut for businesses and high-income earners. So far, when cheered by his supporters at rallies, Trump continues to demand that Congress fund his border wall, and is effectively promising to veto a budget deal unless Congress funds his budget wall this October. Immigration reformers, however, fear that Trump's top aides would gladly agree to make DACA permanent in return for minor benefits, such as 1 year's worth of wall funding. The 6-legislator letter was tweeted out by FWD, U.S., which is also using its website to campaign for the DACA amnesty. An August 24 article which said Trump might choose to end DACA also prompted laments from the head of the pro-immigration, business-funded New American Economy Advocacy Group. The group has issued business-funded reports touting the spending power of legal and illegal immigrants. This support for illegal immigration by business groups in Silicon Valley and elsewhere also reflects the success of the Democrats' immigration strategy. In general, Democrats block any increased inflow high-tech immigrants sought by business groups unless those business groups also support the Democratic goal of getting amnesty and citizenship for roughly 11 million low-skilled, government-dependent immigrants. Advocacy groups tied to business are helping the joint push by Democrats and business groups. For example, the 6-legislator letter quoted a claim by the business-funded Cato Institute, which argued that repatriation of the 750,000 illegals would shrink the government's revenue by just $6 billion a year. Surprisingly, the study ignored federal spending on the DACA recipients, and also assumed that the DACA recipients are similar to H-1B white-collar visa workers, all of whom have college degrees. Surprisingly, the Cato study did not count the high level of taxpayer spending on the DACA recipients, and it also assumed that the DACA recipients are similar to H-1B white-collar visa workers, all of whom have college degrees. Under current immigration policy, the federal government accepts 1 million legal immigrants each year, even though 4 million young Americans enter the workforce to look for decent jobs. Each year, the government also hands out almost 3 million short-term work permits to foreign workers. These permits include roughly 330,000 one-year opt permits for foreign graduates of U.S. colleges, roughly 200,000 three-year H-1B visas for foreign white-collar professionals, and 400,000 two-year permits to DACA illegals. The current annual flood of foreign labor spikes profits and Wall Street values by cutting salaries for manual and skilled labor offered by blue-collar and white-collar employees. It also drives up real estate prices, widens wealth gaps, reduces high-tech investment, increases state and local tax burdens, hurts kids' schools and college education, pushes Americans away from high-tech careers, and sidelines at least 5 million marginalized Americans and their families. Multiple business groups admit that Trump's Popular Raise Act, immigration and economic reform would raise Americans' salaries. Many polls show that Americans are very generous, they do welcome individual immigrants, and they do want to like the idea of immigration. But the polls also show that most Americans are increasingly worried that large-scale legal immigration will change their country and disadvantage themselves and their children. Trump's Buy American, Hire American policies are also extremely popular, including among Democratic-leaning voters.